Hello again. It has for many years, about half a century in fact, been against the law to discriminate against people at work or when offering employment on racial grounds. I think this is pretty generally known. And yet, in February, by which time it was fairly clear that they would win the next general election, the Labour Party let it be known that they would, if they were elected, introduce a Race Equality Act. The BBC reported this exciting news and gave a brief account of what the new law would do. In the description to this video, I give a link to the BBC piece about this from their website. The headline reads, Labour pledges full equal pay rights for ethnic minorities. And we are told that, under the party's plans, a new Race Equality Act will enshrine in law the full right to equal pay for black, Asian and ethnic minority people, as well as disabled people. Well, who could possibly object to that? It sounds very right and proper. Honestly, there shouldn't really be any discrimination against ethnic minorities. They shouldn't be paid less than white people, should they? It sounds very quite correct that there should be a law to enforce this. This is all very fishy, really. Surely the Labour Party remembers the 1976 Race Relations Act and the 2010 Equalities Act. It is illegal to discriminate against disabled people already in employment. So what's actually going on here? Why are Labour claiming that they're going to bring in a new law to guarantee what has already been guaranteed in law for decades? What are they up to? It is when we see whose efforts are behind this idea that we begin to see what's really going on, which has nothing whatever to do with making sure that black people and white are paid the same wages for the same work. In addition to the link from the BBC about this initiative, I give a couple more, one to a report from Sky News and another from the Race Equality Body. And these flesh things out a little. Task force was created, led by Baron Doreen Lawrence, for instance. And there's a name to conjure with, and no mistake. When you look at the things which this new act will involve, it's clear it has very little to do with the question of equal pay for ethnic minorities at all. Of course not. That is, as I say, already covered by several laws. Instead, we learn that there will be things like race training for police staff and a curriculum review to ensure diversity in schools. There will also be a duty on public services, including the NHS, police, schools, councils and fire brigades, to collect and report data on staffing, pay and outcomes by ethnicity. Oh yes, and of course a drive to eradicate specific health disparities such as maternity deaths, which are 4 times higher for black women than for white women. I covered this particular topic fairly extensively in recent videos, of course. What this intended act is really about is pushing an agenda of systemic racism. It's nothing to do with equal pay at all. The idea is to see if black people are being promoted in the NHS and civil service as often as white people, and if they are not, to identify this as systemic racism, often to be rectified. A result of the monitoring will be that public bodies will feel obliged, to avoid being denounced, to promote ethnic minorities into senior positions just so it looks good on the monitoring, never mind if they're suitable for the job. At the same time, schools and libraries are to be made more diverse and the police trained as anti-racists. This is how you get that sort of thing onto the statute books, by pretending that you are worried that ethnic minorities are not being paid the same as white people, which is preposterous. Welcome to the wonderful world of social engineering with a firm basis in critical race theory.